Welcome back, everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive into the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We've pulled together some really interesting sources, race reports, driver quotes, the lot.
Yeah, and our mission really is to cut through the noise and give you the core story. What happened, who stood out, and, well, why this race actually matters.
And the headline grabber, the big surprise, has to be Oscar Piastri taking the win, not Max Verstappen.
Exactly. That immediately makes you sit up and think, doesn't it? A potentially huge moment. That's where we need to start.
Definitely. And it wasn't, a simple lights to flag win either. There's a lot to unpack.
Oh, yeah. We've got Piastri's challenge on Verstappen right at the start, that whole penalty situation.
Leclerc getting a solid podium for Ferrari finally. Norris charging back.
Sainz having a great run for Williams, and then poor Alonso, another tough one for him.
Right. So, shall we jump straight into that start? It was pretty dramatic.
Let's do it. The sources all agree Piastri's launch was, well, fantastic. Got right alongside Verstappen almost immediately.
He did. And that really set the stage, didn't it? Going into turn one, things got very tight.
Very tight. Verstappen went wide, kept the position, but maybe he shouldn't have.
Well, the FIA certainly thought so. Didn't yield the place, and bang, 5-second penalty for gaining an advantage.
And what's interesting there, digging into the reports, is that Red Bull apparently didn't tell him straight away to give the place back.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Were they gambling? Thinking he could just pull away and make the penalty irrelevant? Or just miss the call in the moment?
It's that high-pressure pit wall decision-making, isn't it? Split seconds count.
And Piastri, his view is pretty clear. He's quoted saying something like, once I got on the inside, I wasn't coming out of turn one in second.
Yeah, I tried my best. Stewards had to get involved, thought I was plenty far enough up, and in the end, that's what got me the race. Pretty confident.
You can hear the conviction there. And that whole incident, the penalty, it just reshaped the entire race right there.
Completely. Verstappen now has this deficit to overcome. Piastri's got the lead, but, Verstappen breathing down his neck, metaphorically speaking.
Exactly. But the sources really emphasized Piastri's composure after that. He didn't seem flustered, managed the gap.
He really did. Kept his head, managed the pace, and then came that pit stop strategy around lap 20, the undercut.
Ah, yes, the undercut. Pitting just a bit earlier, hoping the fresh tires give you enough pace to jump the car ahead when they pit. Bold call by McLaren.
Calculated risk, wasn't it? And it paid off. Plus that move on Hamilton at the pit exit.
Oh, that was aggressive. Piastri himself mentioned the dangerous curve 22 in dealing with Hamilton's dirty air. Proper wheel-to-wheel stuff.
Right on the edge, but absolutely crucial for track position. A really decisive moment in the race, according to the reports.
Shows he wasn't messing around. And look, third win this season, 5th overall in F1. This isn't just a one-off, is it? He's becoming a serious factor.
Absolutely. He said afterwards, pretty tough race. Very, very happy to have won. And crucially, made the difference at the start. Made my case into turn one, and that was enough.
Yeah, but he also acknowledged the pressure, didn't he? Something like, still need a bit more. I think Max was a little bit too close for our liking.
Yeah.
Shows they know the fight was real.
Exactly. And the big picture here for everyone listening, Piastri now leads the championship, 99 points. That's a big shift from what we've seen recently.
A massive shift. Really spices things up. Okay, let's flip to Verstappen's side. Started on pole. Knew the start was key.
Yeah, the reports mention his focus on getting away cleanly. And despite the obvious frustration with the penalty, his team radio afterwards was quite professional.
It was surprisingly calm, wasn't it? Well done, guys. Gave it everything. It is what it is. We move on. Weekend was positive. Seems like he kept it together on the radio, at least.
But then, contrast that with the post-race interview snippet we saw. Very, very brief.
Yeah, almost clipped. Gonna keep it short. Big thank you to the fans. Great weekend. Loved the track. The rest, it is what it is. Looking forward to Miami. Felt like you wanted to say more, maybe.
You definitely sensed some frustration simmering under the surface there, didn't you? He pushed hard after the penalty. The lap times showed that.
Oh, yeah, he was flying for a bit, but just couldn't bridge that gap back to Piastri in the end. Must be a weird feeling for him not being able to just reel someone back in like usual.
A different kind of challenge for sure. Okay, let's look at that podium battle. Charles Leclerc, strong race for Ferrari, starting on softs.
Yeah, managing those for 30 laps. That's impressive tire management. Shows good thinking from the Ferrari pit wall, balancing that initial grip with the degradation here.
Absolutely, and it set him up for that pass on George Russell later on around lap 38 to take P3.
And the reports highlighted this as Ferrari's first, quote, normal race podium of the year. Speaks volumes about where they think they are now.
It does. And he had Norris right on his gearbox at the end, didn't he? Held him off by just over a second. Cropper pressure.
Speaking of Norris, great recovery drive from him. Qualifying wasn't ideal, but fourth place is a solid result.
Definitely. Had some good fights, especially with Hamilton, using the DRS strategically there. You know, that system that gives you extra speed when you're close behind another car.
Right. But even with fresher tires near the end, the sources say he just couldn't quite get close enough to Leclerc to really challenge for that podium spot. Still, good racecraft shown.
Very solid. And hey, let's give a shout out to Carlos Sainz for Williams, P8.
Yeah, best of the rest, really.
Yeah.
Especially when remember he had that slow pit stop, like nearly 7 seconds?
Yeah.
Shows resilience.
And that bit of team play at the end, giving Albon the DRS boost to defend from Hadjar. Smart thinking.
Yeah.
Every point counts in that midfield scrap.
Totally. Good strategy. Now, less good strategy, or maybe just less pace. Fernando Alonso.
Yeah, it started well, actually. Gained a few places off the line, but then it just seemed to fade.
The Aston Martin just didn't seem to have the legs, did it? Finishing 11th, well, 12th initially, then got P11 because of a penalty elsewhere. Not what he wants.
No. The reports mention battles with the Racing Bulls, that risky move he tried. Sounds like he was pushing absolutely everything out of that car. Maybe too much.
Seems like it. Might just be the limit of the car right now. Frustrating for him.
Definitely. Oh, and we should mention the first lap chaos, Tsunoda and Gasly colliding. Safety car out early.
Right. Messy start for them, both out of the race. A reminder of how quickly it can go wrong.
And Mercedes. Antonelli 6th, Hamilton 7th. Solid points, but maybe not the big step forward they were hoping for.
Seems that way. So quick top 10 recap then. Piastri, Verstappen, Leclerc, Norris, Russell, Antonelli, Hamilton, Sainz, Albon, and Hadjar grabbing the last point.
And the championship standings. Wow. McLaren leading both. Piastri on 99, Norris 89, Verstappen drops to third on 87.
And constructors. McLaren won 88, Mercedes jumped to second with the 911, Red Bull third on 89. That's quite the shakeup.
It really is. Even the little snippets from the cool-down room are interesting. Verstappen may be a bit tense at first, but then seen joking with Leclerc and Piastri.
Yeah, good to see that camaraderie.
Yeah.
And Leclerc mentioning the heavy steering.
Yeah.
The bad marbles near the pit entry. Little details that show you what they're dealing with.
And Piastri joking about Bortoleto maybe missing his flight on Alonso's jet. Little moments like that give you a glimpse behind the scenes, plus the descriptions of the celebrations, the fireworks, Zach Brown there, the state of the tires, really paints the picture.
Absolutely. So, wrapping this all up for you listening, key takeaway is Piastri's massive win, taking the championship lead.
Yep. Plus the Turn 1 controversy, strong runs from Leclerc and Norris, Sainz delivering for Williams, and Alonso's continuing struggle. A race with lots of stories.
And that significance of Piastri breaking the Verstappen dominance, it really feels like it could signal a more competitive season ahead, doesn't it? This could be a narrative shift for 2025.
It really could. Which leads us to the final thought. With McLaren looking this strong and Piastri leading, what does this mean for the rest of the year for Max's title defense?
Can other teams close that gap now? Or is this McLaren's charge to lose? The Saudi race has definitely thrown a spanner in the works. Fascinating stuff to watch unfold.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
See you next time.